Gregory Palumbo.
Hi.
So you're a trained composer and pianist.
Yes.
And you developed this program, weight loss program, called MyMobileMinute, alongside Dr. Lawless, renowned psychologist, as well as celebrity fitness trainer, Michael Carson.
Yes.
Tell us more about it. What is MyMobileMinute?
Well, very simply, MyMobileMinute is 90 seconds, now that's seconds, not minutes, of physical activity done before eating.
Wow. Now that is pretty revolutionary if you think about it, just 90 seconds before a meal. How did you come to finding this out? How did you put all of this together?
For the last 20 years, I had progressively gotten heavier and heavier and heavier. I had tried all the diets, the books, the fitness programs, going to the gym. And ultimately, even when I lost a few pounds, I would put them back on and then some. And looking back, I said to myself, really, all these programs were the same thing with different names. They all were saying, eat less, eat healthier, and start exercising. And I knew that made sense, but for some reason, I wasn't able to stick with those programs long term. So what I did was ask two very basic questions. First, I called Dr. Frank Lawless from the Dr. Phil Show. He's a best-selling author. He's the supervisory psychologist for American Mensa, that's the High IQ Society. And I asked Dr. Lawless, what is the most effective way for a human being to change their behavior? And what Dr. Lawless told me was actually discouraging. What he said was, any major change causes the body's automatic fight-or-flight system to kick in gear to stop you from doing the change. So he said, in the case of diet, you're changing how much you eat and what you're eating. That's a significant change. That triggers fight or flight, and your body sets out to stop that diet right in its tracks. That explained why so many days I'd make it to the end of the day and then end up raiding the refrigerator or the cupboard. So that, and he also explained that exercise, going from no exercise, I sit at a piano or a desk all day long, so going from that to even 20 or 30 minutes 3 times a week, that's a significant change. That triggers fight or flight. And then we're doing both of those activities at the same time. That's a major significant change. And this was my weight loss aha moment where I realized this is why I had failed so often in the past. This is why people don't lose weight and keep it off long term. Because of this fight or flight that we end up not being able to get around. So I asked him, then what's the solution? What do we do? And he said, well, you have to make a tiny adjustment. And he said, and that's the challenge. So I got off the phone with Dr. Lawless a little enlightened, but also a little discouraged. I set out and I called fitness guru Michael Carson. And I asked him my second question, which is, what is the most effective way for a human being to exercise? And what Michael told me put a smile on my face ear to ear. It was so consistent with what Dr. Lawless said about making tiny adjustments. What he told me was that the most effective way of exercising is something that Olympians do to maximize performance and maximize their actual strength. So this was the most effective means of building muscle and endurance. He said it's called interval training, and it's short bursts of rigorous activity. And I thought, short, well, that's consistent with what Dr. Lawless is saying. That could be a small adjustment. And what Michael told me was this was going to be very, very simple. You do this short burst of rigorous activity, which we call MyMobileMinute, and you do it right before you eat. And the reason for that is no human being can withstand 45 seconds of rigorous activity without going anaerobic. And what anaerobic means is simply that your body doesn't have enough oxygen to complete the task. You're not able to take in enough oxygen for the exercise you're doing. So after 45 seconds of rigorous activity, you are anaerobic. The way your body continues the activity is by boosting your metabolic system. That makes up the difference, allows you to continue the activity. So this metabolic boost is what you do right before you eat. Now, metabolism, he went on to tell me, is responsible for turning food into energy, so processing the food that you eat into actual fuel, burning calories. So it improves your digestion to have an active metabolism. Metabolism does that. It also improves the way your cells regenerate themselves and how they create their cellular components, the proteins, the enzymes, the hormones. So, done regularly before you eat your meals, Mobile Minute creates a metabolic momentum. And that was the key element, is you just put the Mobile Minute right before you eat, and the rest would be taken care of by the momentum that it creates.
So did you change your eating? That was the other thing you mentioned.
Well, this is the remarkable part. You put the MyMobileMinute before you eat, and a couple of things naturally happen. One, exercise is a natural appetite suppressant. So you are naturally going to want to eat less. Secondly, and this really clarifies why this is such a successful program. Everyone's familiar with Pavlov's dogs. Pavlov basically demonstrated what's called classical conditioning by using his dogs. And what he did, just as a refresher, is he would ring a bell and then feed his dogs. After a few days, the ringing of the bell was enough to cause his dogs to salivate in anticipation of getting the food. So, this means that our bodies can be trained to expect a specific result. That's classical conditioning. And that's what we've done. We've replaced the bell with this 90-second bout of movement. You know, it's hard to call it exercise. It's only 90 seconds. So we've replaced the bell with this MyMobileMinute. And it activates your metabolism, gets your body ready to ingest and process the food that you're about to eat into energy optimally. And you're doing that every time you eat. That's the key. So not only is your body naturally going to want to eat less, not because you're forcing it to, but because it's a natural response to the exercise you've just done. But the Pavlovian classical conditioning makes this a habit. It makes it a habit that feels great. In fact, after a while, you don't want to eat unless you've done your Mobile Minute. Because food feels different when you've done a Mobile Minute, when your metabolism has been boosted and it's optimally functioning, and your food is being digested optimally. Calories are being burned most efficiently. That feels amazing. And you just get addicted to that. Talk about a healthy addiction. So the eating part, that took care of itself. And I'll tell you, over time, I started making some choices, some additional choices. You know, after a month went by and I frankly hadn't anticipated that I'd lose any weight. I just figured, well, this is better than going down the path I'd gone. I didn't see how it could lead to weight loss at that stage. But here it was a month later and people were saying, hey, you've lost weight. And I thought to myself, wow, all I've done is this 90 seconds. I haven't changed what I'm eating. And so it was astonishing to me. It was my cue to maybe I should make a change of some sort. And I'll never forget, my first change was reducing the amount of mayonnaise that I was putting on my sandwiches at lunch. That was it. That simple. And then there was something else a few days later. You know, and then it's progressive. It's natural. It's not something forced on you. So you're willing and excited to do it. And remember, this is probably the most important psychological factor, is that you're doing Mobile Minute and then you're eating. So when you sit down to eat, your mission to be healthy, to lose weight, or once you've lost the weight, to stay and maintain that condition, your mission is foremost in your mind. You've just done this bout of exercise, this MyMobileMinute, and you're sitting down to eat. So it's fresh in your mind what your mission is. And that's a powerful motivator. That keeps you on track.
What is the science behind that? Why is that effective? What makes MyMobileMinute work versus other programs?
Okay, the science behind MyMobileMinute is nothing short of astonishing. And it's everything we've already known. This is just the first time we've put it together this way. And it's everything from what I've already covered in terms of the exercise being a natural appetite suppressant, classical conditioning, creating a habit for life. I mean, that in and of itself is such a powerful aspect to this program. It creates a habit for life.
We know how pretty much it works in general. To be specific, what are these exercises? Because it doesn't seem, it's still hard to grasp the fact that 90 seconds will get you the weight loss. So does this boil down to the types of exercises? What is it exactly?
Well, the exercises are very simple. They're very easy to do. They can be done anywhere. They only take 90 seconds. And they are geared to maximize your caloric burn, maximize the energy that you're using in that 90-second period of time. So you're really focusing on the major muscle groups.
Amazing. Now, consistency. MyMobile Minute, every time you eat. How does it promote the consistency?
Well, you stay consistent naturally for many reasons. I've talked about Pavlovian conditioning, so you now are naturally, classically conditioning yourself to want to continue doing Mobile Minute, because you're always going to need to eat. You're always going to be reminded that you're hungry. And once you have that classical conditioning, you're going to take that 90 seconds to do your Mobile Minute before you eat. And it's that simple.
Now, let's throw in stress, emotions. This is a big issue with consistency and weight loss. How does MyMobile Minute curb these kinds of issues?
We noticed that we were getting a lot of emails from people doing MyMobile Minute who were talking about the stresses that they were having in their lives and sticking with MyMobile Minute through those stresses. I'll give you a couple of examples. One was a woman who was on MyMobile Minute. Her 40-year-old son ended up having a heart attack in critical condition at the hospital. Instead of giving up Mobile Minute, she stuck with it. She would do it in the broom closet. It empowered her. She said she stuck to it like a mantra. We have another woman who's had major relationship issues. She's used this to empower herself. Other women who have reported using this to curb emotional eating. It gives them that control that eating gives them, the control over your body. So what we saw is that at the times of great stress, where traditional diets or fitness programs would get thrown out the window, understandably, people instead were sticking with MyMobile Minute because it's 90 seconds, so you can take it with you no matter what life deals you. And it empowers you. It makes you feel great. So at those times when we're most stressed, when life is dealing us a hard hand, this is something that makes us feel great, gives us back control over our body, which is something that ultimately we really want and desire and intuitively look for. So this is really empowering. This is a program that where others get thrown away, you end up sticking with it, and you stick with it and get through the stresses successfully.
Thank you very much.